What if criticism of a person of whom you were not jealous was simply not possible? If no one who criticized a person was not also in some way, consciously or subconsciously, guilty of being envious of the person they're criticizing. That is not to say that that criticism was somehow automatically invalid, but that on some level, directly or indirectly, a perceptual imbalance on the part of the criticizer towards the subject or object of critique was always at play. I posit that there is no criticism, legitimate or illegitimate, that cannot also be motivated by jealousy. Thanks for watching, and as always, we will see you in the circle. Okay, no, I'm just kidding. Let me explain a little bit more. You know, there's a lot of channels on YouTube that discuss movies, video games, comic books. They're generally known as reviewers, sometimes reaction channels, but that more or less implies that you're watching a video and reacting in real time. So let's just call them reviewers, critics, etc. Some of the bigger names, Red Letter Media, you could lump in Doug Walker, the Nostalgia Cricket with that. You could also include people like Jeremy Jams, Your Movie Sucks, Good Bad or Bad Bad, Chris Stuckman, Fanboy Flicks, essentially everyone from the That Guy with the Glasses crew. Even going back to the biggest names, things like Mystery Science Theater, Siskel and Ebert. Isn't it funny how, for the most part, these reviewers and critics all wanted to be in the spotlight themselves? Red Letter Media were movie makers through and through. They have a number of movies, one of which came out a couple years ago, Space Cop, and they are very much involved in the production side of filming, not just the viewing portion. The guys from the Good Bad or Bad Bad podcast went to film school. Even the music critic Anthony Fantano from The Needle Drop slaps a little bass himself as a musician. Roger Ebert even was a writer on Return to the Valley of the Dolls or some shit. And Nostalgia Man clearly wants attention, or well, I don't even know what his deal is. Linkara from Atop the Fourth Wall wrote his own comics, or webcomics at least, and even one of my favorite channels, Comics Matter, with ya boy Zach, previously known as Diversity in Comics, currently makes his own comic books too. All of these are examples of people in a position where they would like to be doing the thing that the person they're criticizing is doing, or they would at least like to have those opportunities. We could also say it another way. How much sincere criticism do you have for a fully retarded man who sweeps up hair at a barber shop? Now, of course, ironically or sarcastically or just for comedic effect, we can all think of a few things to say to him. But as far as having legitimate vested interest in him meeting your expectations, would you really go off on him? Would you really be disappointed and genuinely angry if he screwed something up? I would hope that most of us would at least have the wherewithal to understand he's really not all there, or he's kind of a few cards short of a full deck. Or a child. Again, all comedic pretenses aside, would you look at a crayon drawing that your niece or nephew or your own child gave to you and legitimately critique it, calling it out for the dog shit that it, for the most part, is? I would think not. You can have no criticism for people you understand are beneath you, so to speak. Not in a value judgment, but just in a sort of different paths of life. This person is on a different side of it than me. They are, in essence, in an unenviable position. You wouldn't hold them to the same standard as you do to someone whom you are willing to critique. This rule holds true for everybody, everywhere. Now, when I say that there is no criticism that cannot also be motivated by jealousy, it doesn't mean that jealousy is automatically the sole motivating force, but it can or could be. To that extent, we should always check ourselves if there's ever any criticism to give. First, ask yourself, am I making this criticism because I would like to be in the place that this person I'm criticizing is, or because I would like the opportunities that they have. Second, is this a person worth being envious of? How can I achieve what they have without destroying them? It is not a zero-sum game whereby you need to destroy someone in order to bring yourself up. Or examine it from this perspective. Would your criticism be understood as bullying? If not, the person you're criticizing is higher in status or achievement than you, and therefore you perceive of yourself from a disadvantaged or underdog point of view. In which case, think better of yourself. In many ways, you may perhaps be much more gifted, content, and better off than the subject of your criticism. I would say at least 8 or 9 times out of 10, you're going to recognize you should rather hold your tongue. And that's not even getting into all the times in which projection is truly at the heart of most criticisms. You could perhaps say about 70% of the times you find fault in others, it's a fault that you could find within yourself. I cite the famous case, "Takes one to know one." But now it's your turn. I want to hear if there are any cases or examples that you can think of to which this idea wouldn't apply. Is there any context in which a criticism couldn't also be motivated by a sense of jealousy or envy? Thank you guys so much for watching. We've got more content on the way. Please join our Discord if you want this conversation to go further. Otherwise, we'd love to hear what you have to say in the comments below. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at 𝚐𝚑𝚘𝚎, THEUNISTS. And other than that, there is not much else to say, but we will see you in the circle.